Lesson 1C is going to be graphing linear equations. All right, and the familiar phrase from this whole unit is this is something you have seen before in Algebra 1, so hopefully this is all review. All right, so an equation whose graph is a line is a linear equation. Okay, so if you draw a graph and it's a straight line, that's a linear equation. The rate of change, or the word you're probably more familiar with, slope, is constant because it does not change. So all that means is the line just keeps going up at the same rate. It doesn't all of a sudden flatten out or become really steep. It's a constant increase, or if it has a negative slope, constant decrease. So the most common form that we see is slope-intercept form. All right, and that's that y equals mx plus b. And when the equation is in this form, m is the slope. So the coefficient, or whatever number is in front of x, is the slope. And then whatever number is added or subtracted here as b is the y-intercept. All right, so if I look at this equation, that is in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So the m, or the slope, is 2. And b is -3, or if I wanted to write the y-intercept, it would be 0, -3. Okay, this equation number 2, this is not in slope-intercept form. It doesn't look like this format, so we need to get it in that format. And that's where we did those solving literal equations before. So I'm going to write it over here. I am solving for y. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is move that 3x over to the other side. So now I have -y equals, and I'm going to write it in slope-intercept form. So instead of writing 5 minus 3x, I'm going to say -3x plus 5. I don't want -y, I want positive y, so I'm going to divide everything by -1. Okay, so when I do that, my new equation now is y equals -3 divided by -1 would be +3, and +5 divided by -1 would be -5. So my slope is +3, and my b, or my y-intercept, is -5. Okay, now we're going to go the other direction. They give you the slope and the y-intercept and ask you to write the equation. So remember, it's y equals mx plus b. Slope is m. Y-intercept is b. So this equation would be y equals 1/2 x plus 6. Okay, here, same thing. Slope is m. Y-intercept is b. Y equals 3x minus 2, because y-intercept is negative. Okay, now we're doing the same thing from a graph. So from this graph, I need to find the slope and the y-intercept so that I can write the equation. So remember, to find slope on a graph, I need 2 points. So I'm going to look and find 2 points on this graph that are whole numbers. Okay, and I mean, there's lots more. So there's one over here and one probably right there. I could count between any of those points because they're all going to be the same. So from this point to this point, I'm going up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is a slope of 1/4. Y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So that's this point right here, which would be -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so my equation is y equals 1/4 x minus 5. Okay, I want you to pause here and try this one, and then come back and check your answer. All right, so I know if you're only looking at this on the computer screen and aren't able or chose not to print out the notes, it might be a little difficult, but these are the 2 points that I identified, and then counting between those 2 points, it was down 5 and over 3, so my slope was -5/3. It crosses the y-axis at 0, so my equation is y equals -5/3 x. I don't need to write plus 0. Alright, and then the final step in all of this is to take an equation and be able to draw the graph. So first thing is we're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So slope would be my m, and y-intercept would be my b. So the slope here is 2, and the y-intercept is -1. Okay, now when we draw the graph, the first point we're going to graph is the y-intercept. So I'm going to go to 0, -1. All right, and then we're going to count the slope to find more points. So my slope is 2. If it's not a fraction, I'm going to make it into a fraction by putting it over 1. So from this point, I would then go up 2 and right 1. Up 2, right 1. And I'm going to keep going. Up 2, right 1. Up 2, right 1. Okay, up 2, right 1. The more points you draw, the more accurate your line is going to be. And then we connect all those dots, and we have a line. All right, so you pause here and give number 8 a try. Okay, so y-intercept of 0, and then my slope is negative 2/3, so this time I'm counting down 2 and 3 to the right. Down 2 and 3 to the right. Last thing we're going to cover in this video is finding x and y intercepts using the equation. Okay, so what you're going to do is plug in 0 for the opposite variable. So if I want the x-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for y. If I want the y-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for x. Okay, so x-intercept first, which means I'm going to substitute a 0 in for y. Okay, and then I'm going to solve for x. So 3 times 0 is 0. I am solving for x. All right, which means I don't need to write that anymore. So now I have 5x equals 15, and I can divide each side by 5, and x equals 3. So my x-intercept is 3, 0. Then for my y-intercept, I'm going to do the opposite. All right, this time I'm going to put the 0 in for x. All right, so 5x plus 3y equals 15. 5 times 0 is 0. So I have 3y equals 15. Divide by 3, y equals 5. Okay, for the y-intercept, x is 0 and y is 5. All right, another way that you might have been taught this or might hear it called is called the cover-up method. Okay, so what that says is when it's in this form, if I'm looking for the x-intercept, I can just cover up the y. Okay, because I'm setting it equal to 0, and that eliminates it. So now I just have this equation right here, 4x equals 12, divided by 4, and x would equal 3. So my ordered pair would be 3, 0. Okay, and then same thing, if I wanted to find the y-intercept, I'm going to cover up the x. So I have negative 2/3 y equals 12. All right, and so I would divide by negative 2/3, divide by negative 2/3. If you have to use your calculator there, that's fine. And you're going to end up with y equals negative 18. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 18. Okay, so I don't care, like if you have these problems on paper and want to just take your hand and cover it up or put in the 0 like we did over here, it doesn't matter. Either way, you'll get the same answer. And that's all we've got for 1C.